Welcome back to the Money Wisdom Podcast, powered by Johnson Brunetti. As always, my name is Jake Dozer, certified financial planner here in our Connecticut area, joined by Nick Colantuno, also a certified financial planner up in our Boston area offices. We're looking forward to these next few episodes on the podcast as we cover the process that we take folks through when they come into our offices. You know, sometimes people reach out or might be intimidated to reach out, frankly, because they're concerned that they're going to walk into our office and all of a sudden we're going to present to them a magic, silver bullet that fixes all their problems, or it's going to feel like a timeshare presentation, or they're not going to know what to bring or what questions to ask. And our job as financial planners is to guide folks proactively based on the experience that we've had leading other folks through and into retirement, and help them ask the questions that they might not even know the answers to. So with that being said, we're going to cover today that first meeting that we have when somebody comes to sit down for a visit in one of our offices. Whether it's in Massachusetts or Connecticut, folks are going to walk up to a building. They're going to have clear and simple directions that we send to them before they arrive. They're going to walk into our office to the smell of warm cookies and maybe a cup of coffee or tea brewing, and they're going to be greeted by somebody at our front desk. And from there, they're going to be sat in a conference room where we're going to have an easy, non-pressure conversation and lead them through each step as we can help diagnose and understand their circumstance and lead them into a healthier retirement outlay. So with that being said, Nick, give us a sense in that first meeting when we're meeting with people, what's that meeting all about? What are we looking to accomplish in that meeting? And how do we start with it?
Yeah, Jake, I'm so glad that we're doing an episode dedicated specifically to this, because this is often the most important conversations that we're having with people. It's that initial meeting, right? Where you're sitting down and you're talking about things, sharing things with someone who, let's face it, maybe you met us at a dinner, maybe you've seen us on TV a couple of times, but you're sharing some of your deepest, kind of fears and anxieties, and some of your, things more than that, right? Some family, issues, things like that. I mean, the things that we uncover in this first meeting are huge. It's huge for us as fiduciaries to get that information in order to provide people with feedback that they need. But it's also a huge sense of responsibility that we have, knowing that people are sharing some of this stuff with us when really they've never met us before. So that first conversation, it's just that, right? It's a conversation. So I always encourage people, bring in whatever you want to talk about. That is your time first and foremost. And I know when you come to our dinners, we're talking about a lot. We're talking about taxes, investments, insurance, legacy, estate, but we're talking about a lot of things. But if you have something specific on your mind that you need to address and you just don't feel the comfort or the confidence to address it on your own, and you want to talk to a professional, this is what we're here for, folks. I mean, above all and before everything else, I mean, we are in the business of helping people, however people are looking for help, right? So, Jake, obviously it's, a lot gets uncovered in those meetings, but to bring it back to basics, it's just a conversation. And folks, what's important about it is it's a conversation about you, right? It's not about us. It's not about, selling you some. We don't have anything to sell you in the first place, but a lot of people come in with their guard up, and we just want people to know that with the risk of sounding cliche, it's different here, right? So yeah, why don't you walk us through some of those questions, Jake? What are these conversations that we're having with folks in these meetings?
Yeah, this first meeting, we call it, by the way, we call it our discovery meeting. Our goal is to discover what is at the heart and concern of every person that walks in those doors. Sometimes, and this is less often, but sometimes folks walk in and they just have a couple of questions they want to ask us. Maybe they've seen us on TV, tune into the podcast or the radio show that we do, read one of our books, however it may be that they've heard about us. Sometimes they come in and they just have some questions, and we're able to, through our complimentary consultation process, answer those questions off the cuff and give them the direction that they need. More often than not, however, this is the meeting that starts their progress towards us developing them a retirement plan, involving, of course, investments, income planning, tax planning, legacy planning, basically from the time they're at when we meet with them till the time they have passed away. How do we best steward your finances and pay the least amount to Uncle Sam and use the money you want to be able to have the freedom that you want? And so during this discovery meeting, we're starting that journey. We're looking to understand, number one, what is that principal concern? Obviously, the overarching theme of anyone's concerns are, am I going to be okay? Am I making the right decisions here? How have I done? Am I doing well? And so that meeting is a time that maybe if you have a significant other or a spouse or an adult child that helps you make these decisions, they should be at that meeting. We want to understand from you and from your loved ones the heart of your concerns. Yes, maybe your concern overarchingly, am I going to be okay? But maybe your concern is, am I going to run out of money? Have I saved enough? Your concern might be, I want to retire in 6 months. Can I do it? Am I ready? The question could be, am I missing something? Are there questions I should be asking that I haven't even thought to ask? And so we're taking the heart of your concerns, and then specifically we're trying to break them down. Now we have the benefit, as Nick mentioned, and the privilege really, to steward the wealth for somebody's entire life represented in an account or multiple accounts and helping them make decisions. And we don't take that responsibility lightly. And that's why we don't just hop right into account statements. We kind of talk about, what are your dreams? What do you want retirement to look like? What are the big concerns that you have? How have you addressed them in the past, or have you addressed them at all? Is there a plan you need a second opinion on, or do we need to start from scratch? And then we're progressing and asking questions at a high level. Tell us about your estate planning that you've done. Tell us about, are there other financial professionals with whom you work, et cetera. And then we're going to segue into some specific questions. What kind of specific questions might we ask once we hit those high level, emotional level questions?
Absolutely. There's the art and the science, right? There's the art of knowing how to have these conversations and how to address and kind of uncover what folks' big concerns are. And at the end of the day, it's not missed on you and I, Jake, that we have these conversations all day, every day, and we have for our entire career, where the folks sitting in that office with us, they're having this type of conversation less than a handful of times in their lives. So the most important thing for folks coming in is, I would say, be a little vulnerable, right? Be able to have those conversations with us, but also know your numbers. We need to have information regarding income and assets and account values and expenses and different things that might be coming into the fold or into the mix over the course of your retirement. So things like Social Security. Well, okay, if you're 55 and your plan is to retire at 62, well, it'd be good for us to know, how much Social Security is going to pay you at 62. Or maybe the plan will be to wait for Social Security. So again, oftentimes we're encouraging people not only bringing your investment account statements, that's of course important, but get a feel for other things, whether it's pension income or pension options or Social Security. Everyone can just go to the Social Security website and download their earnings report. I mean, that is a huge piece of financial information that everyone should be aware of. Yet, oftentimes people have never even gone to the website before. So it's not uncovering these things. It's often guiding folks through this process. Furthermore, get a feel for your taxes, not just your income taxes, but get a feel for your real estate taxes. Get a feel for the insurances that you have and what all that is costing you, right? What we're really trying to uncover is getting a feel for what life costs, right? How much is coming in each and every month, especially while you're working, to be able to support that life. And then, hopefully there's stuff left over that can save for a rainy day, save for those retirement years. But furthermore, once that income stops and once that earning stops, the bills don't, right? So now we need to figure out, okay, now you're in retirement. Now what's coming in? What's that baseline, income, Social Security, pension, dividends, interest? And then what do you have in the background, and what sort of plan do we need to build to make sure that nest egg you've saved can now start to work for you as hard as you've worked for it over these last 30, 40 years of working and saving. So, at the end of the day, we're asking you questions, we're gathering that information, we're taking it back to our team. And if it makes sense, we're going to find a time to have you come back in. And that's our opportunity to tell you what we see. And it's as simple as that. We'll tell you, as a team, what we think is working, what we think needs to be improved upon. And folks, we don't charge for any of it. I mean, we believe in helping people, and we're sincere in saying we help every single person that comes in and meets with us. It does not mean every person we meet with becomes a client, but we are certainly helping every single person that we talk to, even if it's just giving you, validation that the track you're on is the right one, or that, the strategies you're using are truly appropriate for where you are. But again, if I'm you and I realize that there are improvement opportunities, coming in and having that conversation is the first step at being able to uncover that.
And with that being said, we move one step at a time, not because we can't move 15 steps at a time, but we have the luxury of doing this all day, every day. And we recognize that people do this once. They want to feel comfortable. They want to understand each step. And so that, in a nutshell, is our first discovery meeting with someone. And our next episode, make sure to join, subscribe to make sure you don't miss it, and like the page so that you can hear about meeting number 2, where we present our analysis and someone's money map. We'll see you next time on the Money Wisdom Podcast, powered by Johnson Brunetti.
Are you ready to retire with confidence? Join us for our retirement planning workshop and learn strategies to maximize Social Security, healthcare, income planning, taxation, and more. Text WORKSHOP to 800-757-0436 to reserve your spot, or click the link in this week's show for more details on how to register.
Investment advisory services offered through JB Capital LLC. Insurance products offered through JN Financial LLC.